Chair, and good morning, and thank you for all the witnesses for your attendance today. First line of questioning will be to the Auditor General team. Anyone can answer it. But a couple of weeks ago, mid-March, we heard from both Darren Anthony and Christian Firth, the two principal owners of GC Strategies, also known as Government of Canada Strategies, who picked apart the findings in the Auditor General's report. Specifically, Mr. Firth said his reputation had been damaged by false information and what he called an inaccurate report by the AG. He quoted, "Virtually everything reported about my company in the media and stated about me and my company has been false." He said his company was paid $11 million for the ArriveCAN, disputing the Auditor General's findings that GC Strategies received almost double that, $19 million. He blamed the discrepancy on flaws in the government's financial systems. We then heard from his partner, Darren Anthony, and surprisingly, simply parroted everything that his partner had said, didn't even take the time to actually read your report, didn't take the time to read the report of the procurement ombudsman, but had no problem stating that everything was categorically false. Specifically, he said the Auditor General's findings were inaccurate. He says that the report from both AG and procurement ombudsman which found both serious problems with ArriveCAN contracts were wrong, and admitted again that he had not read the report. So I'm sure this is not the first time the AG team has learned about these particular statements. I'd like an opportunity for you to respond on how you feel about these particular statements.
Thank you for the question. I'll start with the findings. We're confident with the findings that we provided to Parliament in our reports. We have a rigorous audit process to make sure that the facts and information that we provide is accurate. With respect to the estimates, we did provide an estimate in the report around the overall cost, and we identified an amount per contractor. There are some facts that absolutely cannot be disputed. In particular, it is a fact that the contractors were paid the amounts that we listed in our report. I should say that they received at least those amounts. Some contractors received more. What is really at issue is whether or not those amounts should be attributed to the ArriveCAN app versus work on another IT project. And this is where the poor record keeping problems by CBSA raise this confusion and leave these open questions. Ultimately, in our report, we mentioned that the poor record keeping led us to have to build up an estimate. We used the CBSA's financial systems, the contracting documents, and other evidence to build up this estimate. It is important to remember that our estimate includes more than what was spent on building the app. It also includes amounts for the implementation, maintenance, and other associated costs. And this is because Parliament asked us to look at all aspects of the ArriveCAN app. The shortcomings in the documentation and the weak controls made it very difficult to precisely attribute costs amongst these elements of ArriveCAN. But ultimately, any number that is provided, whether it's CBSA's or ours, is an estimate because of the poor record keeping. I'll stop there.
Okay, so let me understand that correctly. The 19 million, the approximate 19 million you attribute to GC Strategies. Are you saying that there is room to interpret that as being a combination of ArriveCAN contracting and possibly other elements of contracting with the CBSA?
Yes, in our report, we did state that it is possible that some amounts attributed to ArriveCAN were not for the application. And indeed, when CBSA provided information to the Government Operations Committee, there were some amounts in the records that they produced there that we didn't consider to be for ArriveCAN, and there were amounts that we have considered to be for ArriveCAN that CBSA disagrees with. Ultimately, though, we were confident enough with our estimate to put it in a report to Parliament.
Were you confident enough to say that that estimate could have been actually higher than 19 million?
It could have been higher and it could have been lower.
Okay.
I can't be precise. I mean, it is an estimate after all.
Okay. Notwithstanding the comments of both Firth and Anthony at committee several weeks after the release of the AG report, did you hear directly from Firth or Anthony prior to their testimony?
Prior to their testimony, we received a letter from them before we tabled our report.
Did they supply you with any additional documentation to verify their numbers, which were actually closer to 11 million?
Like I said, we received the letter. We built our estimate on the basis of the documentation and the financial system at CBSA, amongst other evidence.
But did they offer to supply you documentation in their possession which established the 11 million figure according to their records?
In their letter, they did offer to provide us information if we required it. However, I would say that, like I said, our estimate was based on not